I remember a few years ago, I was teaching the classroom and we were talking about makeup, player makeup, whether that's on the field, whether that's off the field. And then we started getting into this scientific discussion about, human traits and how the research has yielded something crazy, like over 600. At the time, we were, studying from some research that said there were over 600 traits or something to that effect that humans possess. 600 traits, ridiculous. You could just go down the alphabet once, twice, three times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was ridiculous how much the research yielded by way of, this person has this person has this person tends to do this person prefers to do that. It was ridiculous. And so I remember I got put on the spot. And they asked me, they're like, "Yo, Joe, what do you think the top 3 traits are for an athlete? What do you think the top 3 traits are?" So I'm going to share with you what I shared with the group that day, but I'm going to focus on only one of those traits in particular. The first thing I said is an athlete needs to be able to focus. He needs to be able to focus. If he can't lock in, if he can't be laser focused on the task at hand for a specified or unspecified amount of time, he's going to be useless in high pressure situations. The second thing I said was that the athlete has to have a hunger and he has to have a desire to learn. When you have a hunger and you have a desire to learn and that is insatiable, you will go to unforeseen heights. But for this particular circumstance, I'm going to focus on competitiveness, which is the last of the 3. Competitiveness. By very definition alone, when you are engaged in a situation, in a game, in a practice setting where there is a high level of competition, you are forced to become a better version of yourself. Just by very definition alone. If I am in a competitive environment, I am forced to become a better version of myself. And the higher the level of that competition, the higher the level of my performance. In order for me to be successful, or in order for me to climb, the very presence of competition brings out the best in people. If I'm in an environment that doesn't compete, if I'm in an environment that doesn't reward competition, the best version of myself is reserved for another time. It's interesting. I have a good friend of mine who's a police officer, and he owns anywhere between 12 to 15 dogs, no joke. And these dogs only get fed one time a day. And in some previous work, one of the things I shared about hunger is if you want to see how hungry, if you want to test how hungry someone is, take the food away or increase competition and watch what happens. So if I'm a dog and I'm used to eating 3 meals a day, and I got to compete with, 12 to 15 other dogs, that's one thing. But if my master gives me only 1 meal a day, and I got to compete against 12 to 15 other dogs, guess what happens? The big dogs always eat. You're right. And my friend who's a police officer, it's crazy because these dogs get fed 1 time a day, and it is one of the craziest things I have ever witnessed with my own eyes. He puts the food, like before he even, starts dishing out the food, the dogs are barking. And they're all chained up about 15 to 20 yards apart from each other. They're all chained up and they're barking. He puts the food in there and they swallow this food. And if you pay attention, some of these dogs, they are more concerned about their food getting stolen than eating the food itself. We're talking about competition. And the dogs are so engaged in this competitive mindset, they don't even realize that, guess what? Yo, all the other dogs are chained up too. They're not gonna get my food. Competition is powerful. It brings out the best, it brings out the fiercest, it brings out the best version, it brings out the spirit of that athlete, of that competitor. You shy away from competition, you shy away from growth. You embrace competition, you embrace growth. And sometimes that competition is yourself.